Our relationship's supposed to be easy. We have all heard things like it shouldn't be this hard, or if you have to do this much work in your relationship, then it's not meant to be. And that kind of suggests that it should be easy. And of course, we have movies, social media, and countless other sources feeding us the picture that after some bumps and challenges, relationships just settle into thriving love and you live happily ever after. So, in today's episode, we're going to talk about how that popular belief actually might be setting you up for failure. And we're going to dig into the truth about the struggles that you might be experiencing right now so that you can feel hopeful and totally see how you can create change in your relationship, even if you're the only one listening or watching the podcast. So, we're going to do this by going through the 5 stages of a thriving relationship. Today, we are going to dig into the first 2 stages, the romance stage and the power struggle stage. So, if you are experiencing things like tension, fighting, not being able to bring up hurt feelings, and feeling so frustrated with how your partner reacts and maybe ruins a perfectly good day, or if you're stuck in a rut of feeling like roommates, just going through the motions, spending night after night sitting on opposite ends of the couch, scrolling on your phones, and then one person sneaks off to bed first to hopefully fall asleep and avoid intimacy, just know that there is so much hope. Through this episode and the next, you'll be able to clearly identify which relationship stage you are currently in. You'll see which stage you would love to be in, and you're going to know how to get there, which is so amazing. So, out of the 10,000 episode ideas that I have, it felt important to start with the 5 stages. And I want to share why it's so important before we dive in. So, just imagine that you and your partner are on a road trip trying to reach this beautiful destination, AKA a thriving relationship. But you don't have Google Maps, you don't have clear directions, you just have a vague idea that you want to get somewhere awesome. So, without your map on your road trip, you might start driving. You don't know which road is going to take you to this beautiful destination. You might take detours that seem interesting, but end up leading nowhere, or worse, you might find yourself going in circles, revisiting the same places again and again without making any real progress. And as you drive, uncertainty starts to build and there's tension in the car. You and your partner might disagree on which way to go or feel frustrated that you're not getting any closer to your destination. The road trip that was supposed to be enjoyable turns into a stressful, confusing experience. Without clear directions, you are going to miss out on the scenic routes that could be much more enjoyable on your road trip. Instead of moving steadily towards your goal, you're going to waste time at dead ends or getting stuck in traffic jams. And after a while, you might start to feel really stuck and unsure if you're even moving towards the right place. The joy and excitement of the road trip starts to fade, and now it's replaced by this sense of frustration and doubt and even hopelessness. Now imagine you're going on the very same road trip to a beautiful destination, your thriving relationship, but you have a map. So you would know exactly what roads to take, what milestones to look for along the way. You'd have a clear sense of direction, which would make the journey so much more smooth, enjoyable, purposeful. Even when you hit a rough patch or take a wrong turn, you could get right back on track because you have a roadmap and you would feel confident that you're heading towards your desired destination. The truth is that most of us would love to have a thriving relationship, but we get into relationships without a map because we don't learn how to do this stuff. So it makes all the sense in the world that we end up getting stuck in unhealthy conflict or feeling like roommates or totally shutting down or having really challenging times. Of course, we would feel discouraged and frustrated and question if we're really supposed to be in this relationship, if things are supposed to be this hard. The 5 stages of a thriving relationship are your roadmap. So that is why this is so important. And the first stage is the romance stage. So this is like you are just taking off on your road trip. It is fun, carefree, you're excited. So just thinking back to when you got back into your relationship, the romance stage, also known as the honeymoon phase, is just this easy breezy time. And we are literally full of love drugs in this time. That is nature or God or the universe, whatever you believe. That is their way of getting us together to procreate. So you are hopped up on love drugs. You are only seeing the good in your partner. They're seeing the good in you. And we tend to, even subconsciously, just put our good stuff forward because we are just high on life. We are having a good time. And it is such a beautiful stage. I know in my own relationship, when I was in this stage, first connecting with my partner, I would say yes to everything that he suggested. We would have the longest chats. Everything seemed so easy. I remember thinking, oh my gosh, we are never going to fight. I have finally found the perfect human. And I can't imagine us fighting. I can't imagine things going sideways. This is just too easy. And that is a very common experience in this stage. And it's so fun. It is so fun. And now, inevitably, this stage does have to come to an end. And on average, it lasts anywhere from 2 months to 2 years. And full disclosure, my partner and I got a whole 2 months out of it, which were fun and great. And it does come to an end. And most people think that when those lovey dovey vibes wear off and either conflict arises or things just become kind of blah and routine, people think that this is a sign that the relationship is doomed and that it's not meant to be. So, what if I told you that you are just entering the next stage in the stages of a thriving relationship, the power struggle stage, which I know does not sound great. And there are absolutely some beautiful stages after the power struggle, but the power struggle has to come first. We can't get to those other stages without going through the power struggle, some version of it, and it could last a while. And this is why having your roadmap is so helpful, because when you enter the power struggle without a map, you have no idea that there's amazingness on the other side. And I always say this a billion times, so I will throw it in again. The power struggle stage is absolutely inevitable. This is what comes after the romance stage. So, talking about the power struggle, that could look like lots of conflict in your relationship. It could be you're starting to, get into power struggles over things. You're starting to really think about your needs and what you want in the relationship. For some, there isn't conflict. It is just that vibe of like, oh, there's no spark anymore and things just feel really boring and there's not really any passion or any excitement. And in my personal experience in the power struggle, there was a lot of blame, there was a lot of fighting. There was no real apology or repair happening between us. So then we would just sort of go back to normal after fights, but it wasn't really normal because all of that stuff was just like sitting just under the surface, just waiting to come up the next time one of us got triggered, which was so often. And what also happens in the power struggle is, in that romance stage, we're really focused on the strengths and things that we love about this other person. You may be telling your friends, oh, they're so adventurous, or they're just so organized and they've got everything together, or they're so intelligent, or they're so funny. You're really focused on the strengths. When we get into the power struggle stage, you start to focus on the flip side of those things without even noticing that you're doing that. So, maybe you thought your person was so funny and you loved it so much. And now that you're in the power struggle, you're focusing on the flip side of that and going, they're never serious. We can't have any serious conversations. They're always cracking jokes. Total flip side. And another example might be you fell in love with how organized they were. And you're like, this is so great. Like, we always have a plan. They've got their stuff together. It is so good. And then you get into the power struggle and you're focusing on the flip side of that and going, oh, why can't we just ever go with the flow? They're so uptight. Everything is so organized. And you've just flipped over to focusing on what isn't working. And that is totally normal and totally expected within the power struggle stage. And there are different things that we can do when we're in this stage. So we can stay stuck forever in it. We can just, keep driving around without a map and not feeling good and keep trying to reach that destination. And so often this is what happens. People will spend their entire lives in a relationship where they don't feel happy. And they maybe justify that and kind of look and go, oh, well, we're not as bad as so-and-so down the street, so it's not that bad. Or, everyone else is struggling. This is as good as it gets. They just kind of settle for what doesn't feel good. And another route that people can take when in the power struggle is this is where an affair or infidelity may happen. And it is leaving the relationship and getting back into the romance stage with someone else, not realizing that, if you were to fully leave your current relationship, that you would enter a power struggle with this other person. And there is another scenario where you could break up because you'd be like, no, this isn't working. This is too hard. This shouldn't be this hard. And that's exactly what my partner and I did after a year and a half. And this is really where that popular belief comes in that relationships should just be easy. When we believe this and then we hit the inevitable power struggle stage, it is like confirmation that we are in the wrong relationship. because it's not easy and it makes sense that it's not. So there is a different option though, which is a personal faith, where you can choose to do whatever it takes to learn how to have a thriving relationship and step into the next stage. Because the power struggle, if we reframe how hard it is, it really is growth just waiting to happen. And if you resonate with the power struggle stage, I am sending you so much love. I know how challenging it is, and I also know that there is hope. There is a way through it. It truly is growth waiting to happen only if we choose it. So, we're going to dive into the commitment stage, the growth stage, and the thriving stage in the next episode so that you know exactly how to move forward from the power struggle stage toward a thriving relationship. So, I so hope that you enjoyed part 1 of the 5 stages. Part 2 has already dropped. So if you are ready to break out of the power struggle and you are just hungry for more, you can go check that out right now. I want to leave you with an actionable step at the end of each episode so that you can love with intention right away. I know that it can be so hard when we're in the power struggle to see anything good. So today's intentional action is to tell your partner something that you deeply appreciate. So whether that is a text, telling them in person, giving them a phone call right now, and just sharing, I appreciate XYZ. It makes me feel XYZ. That is a beautiful way to just shift the energy and love with intention. You got this. And if you are stoked for more episodes, the very best way to make sure that you don't miss a thing is to subscribe on YouTube or your podcast apps. If you have any thoughts, episode ideas, or questions, I would love to hear from you on Instagram, loving.with.intention. So please just shoot me a DM. Thank you so much for being here. I am sending all the love into your day. And remember, nothing changes if nothing changes. So let's have an intentional week. Bye.